His phone wouldn't stop vibrating on the edge of the ring, lighting up the canvas in quick flashes like a warning sign nobody wanted to read. A cold Starbucks cup sat under a folding chair, sweating onto the rubber mat. Malik's hands were wrapped too tight, his fingers tingling, and he kept rubbing his thumb over the cheap tape like it could erase what was about to happen. The crowd wasn't big, maybe 30 people, but it felt like 1,000 because they were all looking at him like he was a joke they'd already decided to laugh at. Coach Rylan leaned through the ropes with a grin that didn't reach his eyes and said, loud enough for everyone, "Come on, Malik. Don't freeze up on me now." Malik swallowed, staring at the scuffed black gloves someone had shoved into his hands. Across from him, under the bright gym lights, Rylan bounced on his toes like this was fun. Malik didn't bounce. He just stood there, chest tight, feeling the weight of every bill he hadn't paid and every time he'd kept his head down to survive. Then Rylan said the part Malik couldn't shake, the part that sounded like a dare and an insult at the same time. "1 round," he said. "If you want that extra money, earn it." Malik Carter cleaned the Westfield Athletic Club every night after the last class. The place sat off a wide road in Columbus, Ohio, surrounded by chain restaurants and medical offices with bright signs and empty parking lots after dark. Inside, the gym smelled like bleach, old sweat, and the lemony spray Malik used on mirrors that never stayed clean. He worked when other people slept. He liked that part, even if he didn't like what it did to him. At night, nobody asked questions. Nobody watched him too closely. He could move through the quiet rooms with his cart and his keys and pretend, for a few hours, that his life wasn't stuck. He was 32, tall, and tired in a way that didn't fix itself with sleep. He wore his uniform like armor, dark pants, a faded polo with the club logo, a name tag that said Malik in block letters. The job wasn't terrible, but it wasn't enough. It never was. Rent had climbed again. His car insurance had jumped for no reason he understood. His daughter's school sent home another note about a field trip deposit, and Malik had stared at it at his kitchen table like it was written in another language. His daughter, Ava, was 8 and lived with her mom across town. Malik saw her on weekends when his schedule didn't get switched, when his car started, when life didn't throw a new problem at him right when he thought he could breathe. Ava was the best part of him, and also the sharpest pain, because she deserved a dad who showed up without excuses. That week, Malik's phone had become a steady stream of reminders. Past due notices. A missed call from an unknown number that left no voicemail. A text from his ex, Tasha. "Ava asked if you're coming Saturday. Please don't say yes if you can't." He'd typed a reply 3 times and deleted it. He wanted to say, "I'm trying." He wanted to say, "I'm not a bad dad." He wanted to say, "It's hard out here and I'm doing the best I can." Instead he wrote, "I'll be there," and felt sick, because he didn't know if it was true. At Westfield, the daytime staff treated Malik like part of the building. They nodded, sometimes. They didn't ask his name. They didn't ask how his day was going because, to them, he didn't really have a day. He had hours between other people's lives. Coach Rylan Pierce was different. Rylan was loud, always talking, always performing. He was in his late 30s with a close-cut beard and the kind of confidence that filled up spaces. He ran the MMA program at the club, taught kids classes, and trained adults who liked to say they were getting after it, even when they quit after a month. Rylan called everybody bro, even women. He had a laugh that sounded like it was meant for an audience. At first Malik liked Rylan because Rylan noticed him. Not in a deep way, but in a, "Hey man, appreciate you" way that felt better than being invisible. Rylan would wave from across the weight room. He'd toss Malik a bottle of water sometimes. Once he'd asked Malik, "You ever train?" Malik had shrugged. "Not like that." "You got the build," Rylan said, looking him up and down like Malik was a product he could sell. "Long arms. Strong shoulders. You ever think about it?" Malik had laughed without humor. "I think about getting through the month." Rylan had laughed too, like it was a joke they shared. But Malik remembered the way Rylan's eyes had lingered, calculating. Malik's shift started at 6 p.m., but he got there early sometimes to sit in his car and steady himself. The club parking lot buzzed with headlights and music leaking from other people's speakers. Malik's car was quiet except for the soft rattle in the passenger door that he kept meaning to fix. He'd watch people walk in carrying gym bags that probably cost more than his grocery budget. He'd tell himself not to be bitter. He'd tell himself it didn't help. On a Thursday night, Rylan caught Malik in the hallway near the locker rooms. Malik had a mop bucket and a stack of clean towels. Rylan had that same big grin and a clipboard tucked under his arm. "Yo, Malik," Rylan said. "You busy Saturday?" Malik's stomach tightened before his brain could catch up. Saturday was Ava. Saturday was the promise he'd made. "I work," Malik said carefully. "Depends." Rylan clapped him on the shoulder like they were teammates. "Listen, we're doing this little club event. Nothing crazy. Just a fun thing. Members pay to watch. Money goes to the kids program. Community vibes." "That's cool," Malik said, trying to angle away. Rylan stepped in front of him. "I need a favor." Malik looked at the clipboard, then at the hallway camera in the corner that never blinked. "What kind of favor?" Rylan lowered his voice like he was letting Malik in on something special. "We need an everyday guy for a quick demo. 1 round. Super controlled. I'll be in there with you. People will love it. Underdog story." Malik blinked. "Me?" "Yeah," Rylan said, as if it was obvious. "You." Malik felt heat crawl up his neck. The idea was embarrassing on its own, but it wasn't just embarrassment. It was the way Rylan said everyday guy, like Malik was a costume. It was the way he said people will love it, like Malik's discomfort was part of the entertainment. "I don't fight," Malik said, keeping his voice even. "It's not fighting," Rylan replied fast. "It's like sparring. Light. We'll keep it safe. Gloves, headgear if you want. It's literally just for show." Malik's mind went to all the ways, for show, could still go wrong. A bad step. A cheap laugh. A video clip that lived forever on someone's phone. A moment where he looked scared and people decided that was who he was. "I'm good," Malik said, trying to move around him. Rylan's smile slipped for half a second. Then it came back, tighter. "I'll throw you some cash for it," he said, casual like he was offering Malik a tip. 200. Easy. $200 hit Malik like a punch he wasn't ready for. Not in his body, but somewhere behind his eyes. 200 was the field trip. 200 was a tank of gas and groceries. 200 was the difference between showing up for Ava or making another excuse. Malik hated that he hesitated. He hated that Rylan could see it. Rylan nodded like he'd already won. "Think about it," he said. "I'm serious. You'd be helping the kids program. And you'd be helping yourself." He walked away, and Malik stood there holding towels that suddenly felt too heavy. He told himself to forget it. He told himself no. He told himself he wasn't going to let someone use him as a prop. But all night, as he cleaned the mats where other people trained for fun, Malik couldn't stop hearing Rylan's voice. "If you want that extra money, earn it." In the break room near midnight, Malik checked his phone. A notification from his bank app sat at the top like a judgment. He opened it, saw the number, and felt his chest tighten again. Under that was a text from Tasha. Reminder, Ava's field trip money is due Monday. Malik stared at the message until the screen dimmed. In the quiet hum of vending machines and fluorescent lights, he felt the familiar pressure of being an adult who couldn't afford mistakes. He felt the anger too, but it was mixed with shame, and that mix always made him quiet. Back on the main floor, the MMA room was still lit. Malik could see through the glass. Rylan was in there alone, practicing, shadowboxing in front of the mirror like he was still performing even without an audience. Rylan caught Malik looking and waved him in, smiling like this was friendly. Malik didn't go in. He kept pushing his cart, but his thoughts didn't follow. Because the truth was, Malik wasn't only scared of getting laughed at. He was scared of what it would mean if he said yes. That he could be bought. That he'd been so worn down by bills and missed weekends that he'd step into a spotlight he didn't want just to keep his promise to his kid. He walked past the MMA room and felt his phone buzz again. A voicemail icon. The unknown number again. Malik stopped near the water fountain, thumb hovering, then finally pressed play. A woman's voice came through, tired but polite. "Hi, this is Denise from Franklin Auto. Your car is ready, but we can't release it until the balance is paid. Please call us back." Malik leaned his forehead against the cool metal of the fountain for a second, eyes closed. He hadn't even told anyone the car needed work because he'd been pretending it wasn't real. Pretending didn't fix anything. It just made the moment of truth hit harder. When he opened his eyes, he saw his reflection in the shiny metal, tired face, tight mouth, a man trying to hold it together with tape and willpower. He heard the thud of Ryland's feet through the wall as the coach kept moving like nothing in the world could touch him. Malik picked up his cart again and kept walking, but the decision was starting to form in him the way storms form over flat land. Not all at once. Piece by piece. Pressure building. And somewhere deep under the stress, another feeling flickered, small, stubborn, and dangerous in its own way. Malik didn't sleep much after agreeing to meet Ryland the next afternoon. He hadn't actually said yes yet, not out loud, but the way Ryland had texted him, "Cool, see you Friday around 3, made it feel settled, like the decision had been made for him. Malik lay on his couch with the TV on low, watching a late-night news segment he wasn't really listening to. His phone rested on his chest, heavy as a brick. Every time it buzzed, his body tensed. By noon, he was up, pulling on clean jeans and a hoodie that still smelled faintly of laundry detergent. He made coffee in the chipped mug Ava had painted at school, the one with uneven hearts and his name spelled wrong. He stared at it longer than usual, letting the coffee go lukewarm. He kept telling himself this was temporary. One afternoon. One awkward thing to get through. People did worse every day just to keep the lights on. The gym felt different during the day. Bright. Loud. Music thumped through speakers, and the front desk buzzed with check-ins and small talk. Malik walked past people who didn't recognize him without his cart and gloves. He felt exposed, like he'd taken off a uniform that doubled as invisibility. Ryland spotted him right away. "There he is," he said, clapping his hands. "My man." Malik nodded. "You said you wanted to talk." Yeah, Ryland replied, already walking toward the MMA room. "Come on." Inside, the mats were clean, the air sharp with disinfectant. Two younger guys wrapped their hands in the corner, talking about a fight they'd watched on TV. They glanced at Malik, then back to their tape, uninterested. That almost made it worse. Malik hadn't realized how much he wanted someone to see him as more than a joke. Ryland leaned against the ropes. "So," he said, "you thought about it?" Malik crossed his arms. "I'm not trying to get embarrassed." Ryland raised his hands. "Nobody's embarrassing anybody. I promise. It's controlled. I'll guide you. People eat this stuff up. It makes them feel good." Malik let out a short laugh. "About who?" Ryland paused, just a beat too long. Then he smiled again. "About everyone, man. It's inspiring." Malik thought of Ava's field trip permission slip folded on his kitchen table. He thought of the voicemail from the auto shop. He thought of how tired he was of feeling small. "You said 1 round, he said. 1 round, Ryland confirmed. "Light work. And the money?" Ryland pulled his phone out, tapped a few times. 200. Cash. Malik nodded slowly. His chest felt tight, but underneath that was something else, an old, familiar focus. He didn't like the setup, but he liked clarity. This was an exchange. Not charity. Not pity. "All right," Malik said. 1 round. Ryland grinned wide. "Knew you'd come around." What surprised Malik wasn't the training. It was how normal it felt. Ryland handed him gloves and showed him how to stand, how to keep his hands up, how to breathe. Malik listened carefully. He always had. His whole life had been about paying attention, about reading rooms, about not making mistakes that cost too much. You ever box? Rylan asked casually, circling him. A little, Malik said. When I was younger. Rylan stopped. Like, YouTube stuff? Malik shook his head. Community center. My uncle used to take me. Rylan laughed. Man, everybody's got an uncle. Malik didn't respond. He didn't mention that his uncle had been the one steady thing when everything else was chaos. He didn't mention how learning to move, to keep calm, had been the first time he felt in control of his own body. After half an hour, Malik was sweating, breathing hard, but grounded. Rylan watched him with new eyes now. Less amused. More alert. You're picking this up quick, Rylan said. Malik shrugged. I listen. They took a break. Malik sat on the edge of the mat, sipping water from a paper cup. That's when he noticed the woman watching from the doorway. She looked to be in her 40s, wearing scrubs under a jacket, gym bag slung over her shoulder. She smiled at Malik, not the polite kind. The kind that meant something. You okay? She asked. Yeah, Malik said. Just tired. She nodded like she understood. I see you here at night sometimes, she said. Cleaning. Malik felt his shoulders tense. Yeah. My name's Karen, she said. ER nurse. Nights too. Malik nodded. Malik. She glanced at Rylan, who was busy checking his phone. You training? Sort of, Malik said. Karen smiled again, softer this time. Well, good luck. And hey, she hesitated. Don't let anybody rush you. The words stuck with Malik long after she left. Don't let anybody rush you. It sounded simple. It felt impossible. That evening, Malik drove across town to pick up Ava. The sun was low, turning everything orange and gold, like the world was trying to be kind for once. Ava ran to the car with her backpack bouncing, climbed in, and immediately started talking about school like she'd been holding it all day. Dad, she said, guess what? We're learning about planets. And did you know Saturn has rings? I did, Malik said, smiling. But it's still cool. She leaned her head against the seat. Are you coming Saturday? Malik's throat tightened. Yeah, he said. I am. She smiled, small and relieved, and Malik felt the weight of that smile settle on him. Not heavy. Purposeful. That night at work, the gym buzzed with anticipation. Folding chairs lined the edges of the mat. People laughed and talked, phones already out. Malik stayed in the locker room longer than necessary, wrapping his hands slowly. He thought about Karen's words. He thought about Ava's smile. He thought about how many times he'd swallowed his feelings to keep peace. When he finally stepped out, Rylan clapped. There he is, he said again, louder this time. Malik met his eyes. 1 round, he said quietly. Just like you said. Rylan nodded. 1 round. As Malik walked toward the mat, he realized something that surprised him. He was still nervous. Still unsure. But he wasn't ashamed. For the first time in a long while, he felt present in his own life, not just reacting to it. The noise hit Malik first. Not cheering exactly, more like restless energy. Chairs scraping. Someone laughing too loud. A phone clattering to the floor and getting kicked aside. The gym lights hummed overhead, bright and unforgiving, and the air felt heavier than it had earlier, like everyone's expectations were pressing down at once. Malik stood at the edge of the mat, rolling his shoulders, breathing through his nose the way his uncle had taught him years ago. Slow in, slow out. His hands were wrapped. Gloves snug. Everything felt real now in a way it hadn't during training. This wasn't practice. This wasn't private. This was people watching. Rylan stepped through the ropes like he owned the space. He played to the crowd with easy confidence, raising a hand, smiling. Someone yelled his name. Malik noticed how natural it all looked on him, like the attention fed him instead of draining him. "Relax," Rylan said as he came closer, voice low. "Just have fun with it." Malik nodded, but his jaw tightened. Fun wasn't the word he'd use. He glanced toward the chairs and saw Karen standing near the back, arms crossed, watching quietly. She gave him a small nod. Not encouragement. Acknowledgement. Like she saw the weight he was carrying. Rylan talked to the crowd, explaining how this was just a friendly demo, how anyone could step up, how this was about confidence and community. Malik listened, and something in him shifted. Not anger exactly. Clarity. Because he realized this wasn't really about fighting. It was about being put in a place without being fully asked. About being talked over. About being turned into a story someone else controlled. The bell sounded. Not loud. Just a quick ring that cut through the chatter. Malik and Rylan faced each other. Malik kept his hands up, feet planted. Rylan circled, light and loose, still smiling. Malik felt his heart pound, but his mind was strangely calm. He noticed small things. The scuff marks on the mat. The rhythm of his breathing. The way Rylan underestimated silence. As they moved, Malik followed instructions. He didn't rush. He didn't panic. He didn't perform. He stayed present. And then it happened, not a dramatic moment, not a movie scene. Just a shift. Rylan pushed a little too far. Stepped in too close. Treated Malik like a prop instead of a person. Malik felt something inside him snap into place. Not rage. Resolve. He didn't think about the crowd. Or the money. Or the story Rylan wanted to tell. He thought about Ava waiting for him on Saturday. He thought about every time he'd been talked down to because people assumed he wouldn't push back. He thought about how tired he was of shrinking. When the round ended, the bell sounded again, sharp and final. Rylan stumbled back, surprised, his grin gone. The room went quiet in a way Malik had never heard before. Not shock. Recognition. Rylan leaned on the ropes, blinking, trying to laugh it off. "Okay," he said, forcing a smile. "All right. That's enough." Malik stepped back, lowering his hands. His chest heaved, not from exhaustion, but from the release of something he'd been holding for years. The crowd didn't erupt. They murmured. Phones lowered. A few people clapped, unsure if they were allowed to. Malik realized that whatever they'd expected, this wasn't it. Rylan pulled his gloves off, avoiding Malik's eyes. The confidence drained from him fast, leaving something raw and uncomfortable behind. "You didn't have to go that hard," he muttered. Malik looked at him, really looked at him. "I did exactly what you asked," he said. His voice was steady, calm. "One round." Rylan scoffed, but there was no heat in it. "Yeah, whatever." Malik stepped off the mat without waiting for permission. No one stopped him. Karen met him halfway, handing him a towel. "You okay?" she asked. Malik nodded. "Yeah." "You sure?" He thought about it. About how his hands were shaking now that it was over. About how exposed he felt. About how good it felt too. "Yeah," he said again. "I am." In the locker room, Malik sat on the bench longer than he needed to. The noise outside faded. His phone buzzed in his pocket. A text from an unknown number. Then, another. Finally, a message from Rylan. "I'll leave the cash at the desk." Malik stared at the screen. He felt the pull of it. The relief it would bring. Then he felt something else. A heaviness he didn't want to carry anymore. He typed back slowly. "I don't want it." There was a pause. Then 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "Suit yourself," came the reply. Malik locked his phone and leaned back, staring at the ceiling. His reflection in the mirror looked different to him now. Not stronger. Not tougher. Just clearer. Because the breaking point wasn't about standing up to Rylan. It was about standing up to the version of himself that kept saying yes when it hurt. And once he saw that, he couldn't unsee it. Malik didn't rush out of the locker room. The gym had mostly emptied by the time he stepped back onto the main floor. Folding chairs were stacked against the wall now. Someone was wiping down the mats like nothing important had happened. The hum of the lights felt louder without people talking over it. He stopped at the front desk on his way out. The receptionist looked up, then hesitated, like she wasn't sure what to say to him now. Malik gave a small nod and kept walking. The glass doors slid open, and cool night air hit his face. It felt clean. Honest. In his car, Malik sat with the engine off, hands resting on the steering wheel. His phone buzzed again. This time it was Tasha. "How'd work go?" the text read. He stared at it for a long moment. He almost typed, "Fine." That's what he usually said. Fine was easy. Fine didn't invite questions. Instead, he wrote, "Long night. But I'm okay." 3 dots appeared. Then, "You sure you can get Ava Saturday?" Malik swallowed. "Yeah," he typed. "I'm sure." He set the phone down and leaned his head back. The tiredness was still there, deep in his bones, but it felt different now. Less hopeless. Like the kind of tiredness that came from doing something hard instead of avoiding it. The next morning, Malik woke up earlier than usual. Sunlight crept through the blinds, catching dust in the air. His apartment was quiet except for the hum of the fridge. He made coffee and stood at the counter, thinking. About the car. About the bills. About how none of those problems had magically disappeared just because he'd made one good choice. He pulled out a notebook he kept in a drawer, the one he used to track expenses when things got tight. He hadn't opened it in weeks because it made him anxious. This time, he sat down and went through everything slowly. He wrote down what he owed. What was overdue. What could wait. It wasn't pretty, but it was clear. Later that afternoon, he walked to the bus stop instead of driving. The car could wait one more day. The walk felt grounding. Kids rode bikes on the sidewalk. A man watered his lawn, nodding as Malik passed. Ordinary life kept moving, indifferent and steady. At the auto shop, Malik explained his situation without apologizing for it. He didn't beg. He didn't lie. He just told the truth. The woman at the counter listened, tapped on her keyboard, then sighed. "We can do a payment plan," she said. "No promises long term, but it'll get you rolling." Malik felt something loosen in his chest. "Thank you," he said. And he meant it, not just for the plan, but for being treated like a person. That evening, he stopped by the gym for his shift. It felt strange walking in after what had happened, like he was stepping back into a place that knew him differently now. Rylan wasn't there. Malik was relieved. Karen saw him near the lockers and walked over. "You all right?" she asked again, like it mattered. "Yeah," Malik said. "I think so." She studied his face for a second. "Good," she said. "You handled yourself well." Malik shrugged. "I just did what I could." "That's usually enough," she replied. They didn't talk long. They didn't need to. Malik went back to work, cleaning the same floors, wiping the same mirrors. But something subtle had changed. He moved slower. More deliberately. Like he wasn't racing his own life anymore. Saturday came, bright and clear. Malik picked Ava up right on time. She climbed into the car and immediately held up her permission slip like it was a trophy. "Dad, you remembered." He smiled. "I did." At the science center, Ava ran ahead, pointing at exhibits, pulling Malik from one display to the next. Malik listened, really listened, to her excitement. He didn't check his phone. He didn't worry about Monday yet. He stayed where he was. At lunch, Ava looked at him seriously. "You seem different," she said. Malik raised an eyebrow. "Different how?" "I don't know," she shrugged. "Calmer." He laughed softly. "I'll take that." When he dropped her off later, Ava hugged him tight. "Thanks for coming," she said. "Always," Malik replied. And for once, he didn't feel like he was lying. That night, back in his apartment, Malik sat on the couch with the TV on low. His phone buzzed. A message from Rylan. "Didn't mean for things to get weird," it read. "No hard feelings." Malik stared at the screen. He thought about all the things he could say. All the ways he could explain himself. He typed back, "Take care." Then he put the phone down and didn't pick it back up. Life didn't turn around overnight. Malik still worked late. Still counted dollars. Still felt lonely sometimes. But something important had shifted. He'd learned that self-respect wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet choices made when no one was cheering. As he turned off the light and lay down, Malik thought about how many people walked around carrying stories they never got to tell. He wondered how many times they'd been pushed into corners and told to smile about it. He hoped they'd find their moment too. Not to win. Not to prove anything. Just to stop shrinking. And if they did, he hoped they'd talk about it. Share it. Let someone else know they weren't alone.